does this mean that a man in the Jewish world is holding a woman captive who wants out of a marriage? My non-Jewish friend was blown away. She said, what do you mean? A woman can't just leave and marry somebody else? She needs to get permission or this certification document from her husband, and it has to have oversight by higher authorities. This is Listening to Understand, where sensitive Jewish truth seekers gather in a safe place for candid conversations on challenging topics. When we listen to truly understand and not in order to respond, we can replace judgment with curiosity and open our hearts to every Jew, regardless of their personal choices. I'm Matana. Let's get started. I'm Matana, and this is Listening to Understand. Welcome to our show. On this episode, I want to just give a little bit of a background, why we decided to call this show Listening to Understand, why we even created another show. Many of you know me from our other podcast, Hope to Recharge, and what we hope to create in this community of this show, what we're looking to inspire others and inspire myself, and how we came to this. So a little bit of a background on me, if people don't know. I am a Jewish Orthodox woman living in New York. I grew up in Israel. I grew up in the ultra-Orthodox community in Israel. Growing up, I had many questions. I was a very shy, quiet girl that often when had the courage to ask the question, I didn't really get the answers that I was satisfied with or answers that felt at home with. When I started my Hope to Recharge podcast, I realized there was something deeper that I was looking for beyond mental health. My Hope to Recharge podcast is on mental health, and I wanted something that was for my soul, something that I wanted to understand more about things that I felt hypocritical or dogmas or things that didn't sit right with my internal system inside, my gut feeling. And I decided that I can create this safe place to have conversations that are maybe taboo, or conversations that people are uncomfortable having, or maybe conversations that are painful to listen to. A place that we can analyze with safety, see from other perspectives, in order to bridge this big gap that are sometimes created between people, between communities, between systems, between beliefs, to be able to be safe, to share what's in our heart, or our experiences or our thoughts without being shut down by the external world with other beliefs, to maybe gain more understanding of others, maybe gaining more understanding of ourselves, maybe cultivating clarity within the way we live versus the way we were taught to live. I find in my life that a lot of times there's some things that I choose to live by, a lifestyle, beliefs, and then I question it. Is this something I believe, or is it something that I was told to believe and it really doesn't sit right? And why does it not sit right? Sometimes it's so important to analyze why it doesn't sit right. I recently had a conversation with my non-Jewish friend, and I was talking about a topic that was always hard for me to understand, the topic of get refusals, agunot, which is really not the same thing, which we're going to probably analyze in one of these episodes. Recently, a friend of mine asked me regarding an episode we had on Hope to Recharge on the topic of get refusals. She was not Jewish, and she wanted to understand the whole topic. And what is this word agunot I'm seeing a lot on Instagram? I started explaining to her what it's all about. I tried to do my best. I didn't know a lot on the subject, but I did my best. But when I was talking to her, I felt so uncomfortable and so much shame discussing it, because I said something feels off even talking about it, because does this mean that a man in the Jewish world is holding a woman captive who wants out of a marriage? My non-Jewish friend was blown away. She said, what do you mean? A woman can't just leave and marry somebody else? She needs to get permission or this certification document from her husband, and it has to have oversight by higher authorities. Of course, it's not so simple, just like I'm saying it now, but just the topic and explaining it to somebody non-Jewish was very painful to me. And I realized that there's a lot that I didn't know, and there is a lot that I don't understand. And maybe my pain comes from not understanding. And maybe my pain comes from the need to change desire to change some things within our systems, or live with more alignment. Ari doesn't like when I say that word, but it's more alignment to what I feel is right. I find that every person has this natural, what feels right, what feels wrong. And then we have what society says, what's right and wrong, what the law says right and wrong, what religion, if we're part of a religion, beliefs or communities, what is right and wrong, but there is an internal little, like a speedometer that says on, off, good, bad, like this little check-in that we can do with our own internal gut feeling. Is this right or is it wrong? And why doesn't it align with us? Why doesn't it sit well with us? And I feel that a lot of times I speak to many people in the Jewish community, not Jewish community, that the way they live life creates friction within their home, pain in their home. And there's suffering that goes on in the Jewish home because the way the system is built is often not aligned within the struggles or the hardships or the inconsistency of what should happen, quote unquote, in a family. And sometimes there's so much pain that goes on in families because there's this misunderstanding or expectations or desires. And we need to have more conversations, more ability to listen and to understand. 3 years ago, I wrote down on my New Year resolution, I said one thing. I want one thing, listening to understand, not in order to respond. That's going to be my goal for, I think it was 2021. Maybe it was even 2020. I said, that's going to be my goal and I'm going to work on it. So I worked on it 1 year, second year, third year. It was really hard. It was not easy. I realized that so many times I'm trying to have a conversation or someone's trying to explain something to me and my internal gut feeling is shutting them down because I'm already responding. I'm already coming with my thoughts, how they're wrong, or maybe prove or help them understand my perspective versus saying, I want to listen to understand, not in order to respond. It is one of the hardest muscles that I've ever worked on. And I'm far from good at it, but at least I have the awareness that I'm trying to listen to other opinions in order to be able to say, maybe I'm right and they're right too. Maybe they're right from a different perspective. Maybe we can both be right. Maybe there's no right and wrong. Maybe there's gray. Maybe it's not me versus them. Maybe we can coexist and not shut each other down and not blacklist each other or feel comfortable with being different. Can we bridge this gap between the differences? Can we not be afraid of differences? Can we be more kind, more empathetic, more accepting to people that are not like us, that don't think like us, that maybe they don't believe things like we believe? And maybe we can look at beliefs or lifestyles just like we look at the way we eat things. Some people like meat, some people don't like meat. Some people like vanilla, some people like chocolate, some people like pecan, some people hate cherry, and some people love cherries. And we don't judge it. You like chocolate and I only like pecan, so I can't be your friend, or I can't listen to you, or I can't dine with you, or I can't be your friend, or I can have you in my family. Can we bridge this gap? Of course, beliefs and morals have a strong guide in the way we want to interact with people. It's not always so black and white. And can we bridge that gap between beliefs, between experiences? Can we cultivate a little bit more softness? Can we bring more kindness to our conversation? Can we truly listen to understand someone else, not in order to respond, so we can create a kinder world, so we show up with more humility and empathy? And maybe that's really what God wants from us, to be able to accept one another, even if we're vastly different. Now, there are a lot of things that I find that are wrong I find hypocrisy. I find a lot of hypocrisies, questioning, and I want to understand it better. And I know that from my conversations with others, I'm not the only one. So we really designed this show for adults and teens with sensitive souls like I do. Like, I believe that I'm not the only sensitive soul, that want to seek clarity with all the confusion in philosophical, ethical, and moral conflicts in the Jewish home. We are hoping with these conversations to utilize communication and to bridge the gap between beliefs. And that was our hope. And it could be within schools, within families, maybe even faiths. I would love for this show to really teach people or invite people, inspire people to not have the knee-jerk reaction of responding to somebody, but really to try to come to a conversation, to listen with a full heart, even if it's against the way we were taught to believe or what we think is right and wrong, but try to see the other person's perspective. And maybe we can create a more empathetic, kind world, less rigid, less judgmental, and embrace the confusion and not reject it all. And maybe say, you know what? I like a lot of that, but this doesn't seem right to me. And that's okay. To give a little bit of gray or maybe even orange and pink and yellow and purple to the way we live our life. So that's my mission. That's my goal. This is our goal in this show. Can we foster these conversations? Foster a little bit to encourage difficult conversations, to question our beliefs, to not live this one life and live it in confusion or live it in frustration or live it with pain. Let's question. Let's go back to sources. Let's listen to each other. Let's maybe gain from conversations in order to live a more fulfilled life, to find some peace in this discomfort and finding peace in the lack of clarity. And the goal really is to have a good night's sleep, to have a more fulfilled life, to live with a less heavy heart. And I hope to connect more to what we do in every day, to God, to our day-to-day routine, that it should feel truth to us. It should feel authentic. It should feel home. Thank you for joining me here. Before I sum this up, before I wrap this up, I want to give a big thank you to Ari for helping me break down my thoughts, help me create this show, help me describe it in words that can articulate what's in my heart. I want to thank him for always standing by my side and motivating me and inspiring me to pursue my dreams, but to make it clear for me what my dreams are. Sometimes I'm not clear on them. And thank you to Alyssa, my friend, that is always there to listen and non-judgmental, very thought-provoking, incredibly gifted with words. And she helped me with getting to the juice of this show and the concept of the show. I want to really thank her for all that she gave me, also with her time and her thoughts and her experiences and her advice regarding Hope to Recharge. And now she's coming along with us behind the scenes in Listening to Understand. And forever I'm grateful for those people that are welcoming my thoughts, welcoming my non-black and white thinking, welcoming my questions, really listening to understand. I would not be able to do this without you. Thank you for listening to Understand. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please hit that follow button on your favorite podcast app. This way you don't miss an episode and you help us grow. You are part of our growth. We appreciate your support and we hope you choose to listen to us on our next episode. We'd love to hear from our audience. If there's anything you would like us to research, to talk about, please contact us on our website, listeningtounderstand.com. And if there's any insight that you got from this and you want to share with others and you are happy for us to read it out loud on our show, send us your insights, send us your thoughts. We want to listen to understand. Bye till next time.